Hey, welcome to my channel. Soft Fame 9. I never believed in magic. Not really. Not until the night I sat across from her, laughing, when she pulled a tiny, shimmering vial from her pocket. Just one drop, she said, voice soft but teasing. Her green eyes sparkled like she knew exactly what she was doing. It'll make things interesting. I laughed nervously, not taking it seriously. Interesting how? She grinned, tilting her head. Oh, you'll see. One drop. That's all it took. I barely tasted it before the warmth spread through my body. At first, it was subtle, a tingling in my fingers, a flutter in my chest, but then it hit me like fire. My skin felt different, softer somehow. My hair tingled along the strands, suddenly lighter, smoother. I stumbled back, staring at my hands. My fingers were delicate, slender. My nails slightly curved. My heart pounded as I realized something impossible. My body was changing. My arms, my torso, my face, they were shifting. My jaw softened, my cheeks fuller, my lips plump. I barely recognized myself in the mirror across the room. What did you do? I whispered, voice catching. Even the sound of it surprised me. Higher, lighter, softer than my usual tone. She smirked, leaning casually against the wall. Told you. Interesting. Panic surged, but so did a strange, thrilling curiosity. My reflection wasn't entirely unfamiliar. It was me, but different. Feminine. Vulnerable. Alive in a way I had never experienced. I pressed my palms to my face, feeling the smoothness, the subtle curves I didn't have before. Every breath, every heartbeat, felt amplified. What's happening to me? I whispered again, voice trembling. Her eyes softened. Relax. It's temporary, well, mostly. Just enjoy discovering yourself. I stumbled toward the mirror, hands shaking, heart racing. The reflection stared back, wide-eyed, flushed with shock, disbelief, and, against my better judgment, curiosity. I wasn't just looking at a new face. I was staring into a version of me that I hadn't known existed. And in that moment, fear and excitement collided, leaving me breathless. The next morning, I woke up and froze. My reflection in the mirror made me flinch. Overnight, the changes hadn't just stayed in subtle curves or soft skin, they had evolved. My hair fell longer and shinier, my body softer, my features undeniably feminine. Even my voice, which I tried desperately to control when I muttered to myself, had a lighter, almost melodic tone. I tried to move like I normally would, but everything felt different. My arms brushed my sides in new ways, my hips shifted with each step, my chest subtly rising and falling. I caught a glimpse of myself walking toward the kitchen and paused mid-step. Every motion was amplified. Every reflection, every angle, revealed a version of me I couldn't ignore. Then came the texts from friends. Normally, I ignored them until later, but today, I had to see how they would react. Hey, you okay? You look different in your snap. Wow, didn't recognize you for a second. Flushed face. My stomach dropped. The world was already noticing. I rushed to hide in my room, frantically tugging at my hoodie, my hands shaking. The soft fabric felt comforting against my skin, but it did nothing to stop the fear curling in my chest. Every small activity became terrifying. Passing the bathroom mirror, every reflection reminded me of how drastically I had changed. Even brushing my teeth, something I had done 1,000 times, felt awkward. The angle of my jaw, the softness of my lips, the way my hair fell over my shoulder, it was like learning to perform a simple act all over again. Later, my crush texted, asking if I wanted to meet at the cafe. My mind raced. Can I leave the house like this? Can I face people? I peeked into the mirror one last time, swallowing hard. The version of me staring back was undeniably feminine, undeniably exposed, yet, something stirred inside me. Confidence? Curiosity? I couldn't tell. I left the apartment, hoodie up, hands clenching the straps of my bag. Every step outside felt like a performance, every glance from strangers like a test. The world had shifted, and so had I, suddenly forced to navigate my life in a body and persona I barely recognized. By the end of the day, whispers, curious stares, and double takes had left me exhausted, my cheeks flushed, my heart both terrified and strangely alive. Back in my room, alone at last, the fear began to shift into something else: curiosity. The potion had changed me, yes. But now, for the first time, I could explore this new version of myself without judgment, without stares, without whispers. I started with the clothes she had left in my drawer: a soft skirt, a delicate top, tights that hugged my legs. My hands trembled as I lifted the skirt, tracing the smooth fabric with my fingers. It was strange, intimate, and exhilarating. I slipped it on carefully, feeling the material glide against my skin. I added the top, the soft cotton cool and light against my chest. For the first time, I examined my reflection calmly, slowly. I ran my fingers through my hair, brushing it away from my face. The strands felt softer than ever, falling perfectly over my shoulders. I experimented with posture, tilting my hips, shifting my weight from one leg to the other, watching how it changed the curve of my body in the mirror. My hands lingered on my waist, tracing the new contours. I felt alive. Then I found the small makeup kit she had left behind. My pulse quickened. Could I really do this? Slowly, I opened the compact and swiped a brush over the eyeshadow. Tentatively, I applied it to my eyelids, watching as the colors enhanced my eyes. Next came lip gloss, soft pink, glossy, shining. I barely recognized the reflection staring back. But the reflection didn't frighten me, it fascinated me. I tried speaking, experimenting with my voice. "Hello," I whispered, the sound lighter, sweeter, melodic. I giggled softly at myself, and the sound filled the room. I had never heard myself like this. I didn't know whether to laugh, to cry, or to stay still in awe. Hours passed unnoticed. I practiced walking, moving my hands gracefully, tilting my head slightly when I smiled. I tried gestures, small and subtle, imagining how people outside might perceive me. Each movement, each glance in the mirror, taught me something new. My fear had not vanished, but it had softened, mingling now with exhilaration, curiosity, and a quiet thrill. By the end of the day, the closet of my room had become a sanctuary, a private stage where I could explore, experiment, and embrace this new version of myself. My heart raced as I whispered softly, "Maybe I like this. Maybe I'm meant to explore this side of me." For the first time, I didn't flinch at the thought. I leaned back in my chair, studying my reflection, tracing my lips with a finger, imagining stepping out into the world like this. And for the first time, the fear wasn't enough to stop me. By the weekend, my curiosity had grown into something bolder. I couldn't stop thinking about how it would feel to step outside, to move through the world in this new body, this new version of myself. It terrified me, and thrilled me at the same time. She noticed my hesitation but didn't push. Instead, she left a small bag near my door, a carefully chosen outfit, soft skirts, cozy tops, and a few subtle accessories. A note accompanied it. "Only if you're ready," winking face. I stared at the bag, my heart pounding. Part of me screamed to run, to hide, to stay safely in my room. But the part of me that had lingered in the mirror all week, the part that had felt alive for the first time, urged me forward. I slowly unpacked the clothes, my fingers brushing over each fabric, each texture sending shivers of anticipation down my spine. I dressed carefully, changing into a soft pastel skirt and fitted top, adjusting the scarf around my neck. My reflection startled me. It wasn't exactly me anymore. It was her, me, someone I hadn't recognized, someone I was becoming. I practiced standing, tilting my hips slightly, moving gracefully yet cautiously. My pulse raced, but my hands moved with growing confidence. When I stepped outside, every sound, every movement felt magnified. Leaves rustled on the sidewalk, distant traffic hummed, and I could feel the subtle brush of air against my arms and legs. I adjusted the scarf, lifted my chin, and took a slow, deliberate step forward. Passing strangers felt like a test. Every glance, every second of attention sent my heart racing. I caught a woman looking at me briefly and instinctively smiled. She smiled back. Relief and exhilaration flooded me. My confidence grew with each interaction, small victories stacking up silently in my mind. I spent hours walking through the streets, sitting at a cafe, holding my cup of coffee with delicate fingers, occasionally adjusting my scarf or brushing a stray hair from my face. Each gesture, each movement, was a rehearsal of this new persona, a careful negotiation between fear and delight. By evening, I returned home, exhausted but alive. The reflection in the mirror was no longer just a curiosity. It was someone I was learning to inhabit fully. I had faced the world, even briefly, and survived. Even more than that, I had begun to thrive. The experiment, the potion, the bet, it had all been a catalyst. I was discovering myself, one small, confident step at a time. By the end of the week, I could no longer deny how much I had changed, not just physically, but internally. The potion had altered my body, yes, but it had awakened something deeper: curiosity, courage, and a version of myself I had been too afraid to meet. It was Saturday morning when she appeared at my door, holding the vial I had taken a week ago. Her smile was calm, almost knowing. "Time's up," she said softly. I froze. Part of me panicked. The world outside, the people, the life I had left behind, I wasn't sure I could face them like this. My reflection in the mirror across the room stared back at me, wide-eyed, flushed, and feminine. My hair fell softly over my shoulders, my body curved in ways I had spent the past week learning to inhabit, my lips glossed faintly, my eyes wide with anticipation and fear. What happens now?" I asked, voice trembling slightly. She tilted her head, smiling. "That's up to you." And in that moment, I understood. The potion had given me a choice. To return to my old life, to my old body, to safety. Or to step fully into this new version of me, to embrace what I had discovered, to take the risk of living openly as someone I had barely known but now recognized in myself. My heartbeat thundered in my chest. I looked down at my hands, delicate and feminine, and then back at her. The fear surged. What if the world rejected me? What if my friends, my family, my crush, what if they laughed, stared, whispered? And yet, beneath that fear, a quiet, persistent voice whispered, "You've grown. You've discovered. You can't go back." I took a deep breath, adjusting the scarf around my neck, brushing a loose strand of hair behind my shoulder. Slowly, deliberately, I stepped toward the door, toward the world outside, toward life. Every step was deliberate, every breath steadying me, every heartbeat a declaration. I was no longer hiding. Outside, the world seemed enormous. Every sound, every glance, every movement of strangers felt amplified. But I held my head high. I smiled softly at a passerby who glanced at me, adjusted my scarf, and felt a thrill I couldn't describe. She followed me quietly, supportive, a small smile on her face. "You're ready," she whispered. I nodded, realizing she was right. The potion hadn't just changed me, it had revealed me. And now, I had a choice: to shrink back into fear, or to step boldly into the world as the person I had discovered in the mirror. I chose to step forward. Stepping fully into the world, I felt something I hadn't expected. Not fear, not panic, but a quiet, steady power. The streets were alive with movement, noise, and light, but I walked through them with a confidence that surprised me. Every step, every gesture, every glance I made felt deliberate and intentional. The soft swish of my skirt, the brush of my hair against my cheeks, the subtle curve of my posture, they weren't just accidents of the potion. They were part of me now, and I owned them. I stopped at a cafe, the familiar scent of coffee and pastries filling the air. Sitting at a small table by the window, I watched people pass, curious eyes flicking toward me. I smiled, softly, letting my fingers brush my hair back. Some looked, some didn't, but none of it shook me. For the first time, I realized that confidence wasn't about being invisible, it was about being present, about existing fully in your own skin. She joined me, sliding into the chair across from me. "You're doing it," she said quietly, pride in her voice. I am," I whispered, almost to myself. My reflection in the cafe window caught my eye, and I studied it carefully. The person staring back wasn't just a temporary version of me created by magic or a potion. She was real. Alive. Confident. Powerful. Over the next few hours, I interacted with strangers, small conversations, smiles, even laughter. Each interaction built upon the last, small victories stacking up quietly, imperceptibly, until I realized that I had become someone I had never imagined I could be. Not just feminine in appearance, but bold in presence, comfortable in identity, and free from the weight of fear that had held me back. By evening, I returned home, tired but exhilarated. I caught my reflection in the mirror one last time before bed. Soft light reflected off my hair, highlighting the contours of my face, the curve of my waist. I ran my hands over myself, not in disbelief, not in shock, but in quiet appreciation. The potion had started it, yes, but I had chosen to continue, to explore, to embrace. And now, I realized that transformation wasn't about magic, or bets, or experiments. It was about courage, choice, acceptance. I smiled softly, whispering to myself, I am me. And that is enough. That night, as the city hummed quietly outside my window, I sat alone and reflected on everything that had happened. At first, the potion had terrified me. The sudden changes, the unfamiliar reflection, the fluttering panic, it had felt like a nightmare. I had doubted myself, my identity, even my sanity. But in that fear, something remarkable had happened. I discovered curiosity, courage, and a version of myself I had never known existed. Being feminine wasn't just about clothes, makeup, or posture. It was about presence. It was about exploring, experimenting, and slowly learning to inhabit my own body with confidence. Each small victory, the soft brush of a skirt, the tilt of my head, the lightness of my voice, had built a foundation. By stepping into the world, I realized that the true magic wasn't in the potion. It was in daring to embrace the unknown, to meet myself, to take ownership of identity without shame. I whispered softly, a smile tugging at my lips. Change isn't something to fear. It's an invitation, to explore, to discover, to grow. To meet yourself fully and honestly. The week had started with a simple, reckless act, taking a drop of a shimmering potion. It had changed my body, yes, but more importantly, it had transformed my understanding of myself. I had learned that courage doesn't roar, sometimes, it whispers. Sometimes, it's a soft, steady heartbeat that says, you are enough. You are real. You are free. And in that quiet reflection, I felt it deeply. The magic of discovery, the thrill of authenticity, the empowerment of embracing who I truly was. I looked at my reflection one last time, brushing a strand of hair behind my shoulder, and whispered, I am me. And this is freedom.